Welcome, Juan Stars and fellow YouTubians. So before we get into anything, I just have to say we're having a few technical difficulties. We're just waiting for Tomas, but we have Lisa here. So welcome back.
Well, thank you so much. We're both so excited to be here. We love Tea with the Universe.
Me too. So I'm not sure what the issue is this morning, but you know, Tea with the universe is doing unusual things these days. So
yes, I said earlier on a show that the wind is blowing in the opposite direction, and so my lake looks. I was like, I feel like Alice in Wonderland because it's blowing the wrong way. Oh, and I don't see a mute sign, so.
No, I don't know what happened, guys. I was not muted, but it said I was muted. So there we go.
Well, welcome, Tomas. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. As we were saying, you know, unusual things are going on in the universe right now, and, you know, technical difficulties happen.
Yeah, definitely. Weird.
Well, thank you both for joining me again. The first time was so much fun, so I can only imagine how much fun this time is going to be. So, for those that missed the first time you guys were here, share a little bit about what you guys are doing. And I know that's changed since the first visit as well, so.
Yes, it has. Yes, Lisa, you want to take this one?
Well, I love to share this with everybody because as we just said, things change. It's like I like to look at it as they build, and so. Sometimes, and I'm throwing this right out there because some people are afraid of change and they get nervous about change and they think change is bad or change is good. But really what it is that I feel like it's, I don't want to say a snowball, but you know what I mean? It just builds, it rolls up and it gets bigger and bigger and our life experiences just add on to it. And so as we roll down this hill, hopefully downward, not so much upward, we've learned how to take podcast prosperity to another level since the last time we were on. And it was kind of on not a back burner, but maybe, Tomas, would you say it was back burnered?
Well, I think it was because we were so heavily involved with this other project that we came on and we devoted a lot of the show in October. And I remember this because it was my birthday. So yeah, that's why I have a very distinct memory of promoting this project that Lisa and I would go on to leave just a few weeks later. So it was on a back burner, really, kind of. Yeah.
And so with Podcast Prosperity, which we started before, and that's actually what we were doing within that project as well. So we kind of stayed on path there, is we love expressing, we love sharing and hearing other people's messages and what's going on. And we help people to figure out how to best express that message or their lesson or ask their questions that really allows them to be, and we love this word, in their flow state.
Yeah, really, that's what it's all about. I think we're giving each other credit in Podcast Prosperity for flow state, but I think actually neither of us can really take credit for that.
Yeah,
I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, Lisa went live a couple of days ago and used it, and I thought it was great. So when I went live in that group, Podcast Prosperity, yesterday, I used it and gave her credit, and then she gave me credit, which is nice. I mean, that's what business partners should do, right? Give each other credit for things. Yeah.
Well, Cynthia, it's interesting because a lot of times we'll say, you might say, oh, I did that, or, oh, no, universe, gave that, or something like that. But we all just share, like, things just show up, and it's always about being in that alignment so that things can show up. Like, sometimes when you're, you can block things from showing up, right? Because you're not in that state. You're not in the flow state. And then all these things that you really are so excited to get out there and do, they're just not lining up for you. And so it's I love how all of us right now, we're so in alignment. I can see us little three faces right now.
However, my head's way bigger than everyone else's.
Oh, it's exactly the same for me. That's awesome. Good. I feel like we just won the cherry, the lottery or something, the 3 cherries, ding, ding, ding.
Maybe we did. The lottery.
I can tell you we did. We did just win the lottery.
Yay.
Yeah. Huh? It's very cool.
I like winning.
Yeah. Winning is fun. Winning bunches of money is fun, or anything.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Lori. Thanks for joining us. So, tell me what the flow state is.
All right.
Oh, Tomas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the way that it's showing up for us. It's the way it's showing up for me personally. Is that it's ease. It is being able to do something and have it feel effortless. So it could be getting on the mic and having it be effortless, even with a tech issue, even with not being able to hear and exit the studio and come back, and all kinds of things, and buttons not working. I've actually had to switch rooms today because my neighbors turned up their music super loud. This is not my usual office, but Cindy's office. So it's quieter in here. And that is it's just something that happens when you're in the flow state. Nothing really bothers you. Things are effortless. And I find that I'm able to act with crystal clarity and precision, as in 100% confidence that no matter what I do, it's going to be what the other person needs to hear or what's meant to happen right there in the moment.
That was so good.
Yeah. It just flowed.
It just flowed. And one thing about that is when you are in that state, the gift of it, the benefit is that you are not stuck in a moment wishing it was different than what it is. And how peaceful is that? How peaceful. I want to make up a new word right now. Easeful. It's easeful.
Beautiful.
Easeful.
I love it.
And you don't have that, I wish it was different. Why can't it be this way? And it's the suffering and the struggle isn't there. And then everything shows up and you're just in that moment. Yes. And what came about is because not sometimes, a lot of times, and this is what life is about, we have things that show up in our life that maybe we wouldn't have planned it that way. We wouldn't have planned to even feel a certain way, or we wish we'd like something, but we don't, because we don't. And those are preferences. And sometimes we think, well, how can I still be in that flow state when my preferences aren't met? And it's about actually getting to a point where you don't really care anymore because you're not comparing that moment to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And also when we work with people in podcast prosperity, there are a number of people that are brand new to podcasting, whether they're a show host or whether they're looking to be a guest on a show. And there's a lot of intellectual and mental traps that we put ourselves through, like having to show up as being perfect, having everything go totally smoothly. And we want to sound, we want to look just beautiful and brilliant, and everything we said be just exactly right and grammatically perfect. Be verbally articulate and gorgeous, and sometimes life just doesn't deal that up. So it's how do you recover your equilibrium?
Yes. How do you recover your equilibrium, Cynthia, when you're on? Remember pogo balls? Does who remembers?
Yes.
Pogo? Yeah,
I do.
So when we're on the pogo, how do you keep your center in your flow state?
Oh, yoga and meditation. I bring myself back with breathing.
Oh,
and I remember nobody's perfect. And you know what? If you come across perfect, you tend to intimidate people anyway. They like to know that you are human and flawed, just like the rest of us. So I embrace it now. And when I first started Tea with the Universe, I wanted to be perfect. And I wasn't in a flow state because I was so nervous and, had that script in my mind. And now it's just, meh, whatever.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, it really is that, isn't it? It's whatever, and the neighbors can crank their music or something. You just switch rooms, whatever. I like the song.
Yes,
playing good music. So.
I love that you just said that. It's like, yeah. And I just went from having a radio show, and after 4 years, I concluded that, which felt perfect timing. I didn't know when it was going to feel right to do it, and I did. And I began a new show because as a nutritionist, I wanted to do Dating Your Diet, but I wanted it to have I wanted my spirituality to be able to be talked about, and not just as a nutritionist, like there's it was so interesting. I just recognized this morning. I thought, oh my gosh, it's so easy, because it's been about 4 weeks. It's been so easy to talk about spirituality because I invited a different audience. And before, I couldn't have talked about spirituality because I didn't have that audience. I wanted this is perfectly nutrition and health and wellness, and that, you know, more of like the gym people or the medical people type thing was the audience. And of course, no, why would talking about spirituality fit there? It wasn't. So I went to an audience that I led with spirituality, and now I get to have so much fun talking about nutrition and food with all my little fun languaging and universe words.
Yeah. Well, and they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. I mean, internally, you reflect what's going on externally. They mirror each other. So, I mean, I feel the sooner people realize that it's a complete circle, that everything goes together, that it's that puzzle. You can't complete the puzzle with all the pieces, or without all the pieces, I mean. So I'm really grateful. I'm proud of you for realizing that and incorporating those together, because they do go hand in hand. So yay.
Thank you. And it was inspired because, wait, this way. Somebody else, I'm trying to point, and I was like, which way? I mirrored.
Pointing at me.
Somebody else started a show and made a big commitment and started that. And I would love for you, Tomas, to share about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, Lisa's show, everybody's called Dating Your Diet. And it's on Enlightened World Network, and it's Thursdays. And now I don't know if you're still doing every week, but is your next show this coming Thursday? I'm announcing your show. So.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Yeah, Thursday. Okay, yes, this Thursday, Lisa's coming on. All right, the Enlightened World Network is called EWN's Enlightened Living, 10 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday. All right.
We'll leave that in the comments for people to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you should catch the show because she's really great at this, and this is her wheelhouse. So there you go. So we got a little commercial, right? Okay, so now this came about because I also did start a show on Enlightened World Network. So this is new since last October, and it is a daily. So I've made a commitment to go live every day, and it is A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. That's the title of my show. It's based on the spiritual text, A Course in Miracles. I've been a student and a teacher of that for the past 8 years, and Ruth Anderson, the head of Enlightened World Network, asked if I would be willing to, number one, do a show, and the answer was yes, and do a live show every day, and the answer was also yes. So that's something that's been going on for a couple of months. And yeah, it's Enlightened World Network, and Cynthia, I think your listeners would really, really love it, and it's worth checking out. All kinds of cool programming.
Absolutely. We'll leave all of the links in the comments about everything we discussed, so that people can get out there and subscribe and listen and follow. And
what we learned so much, especially with Tomas doing this, first of all, kudos to saying yes to going every day, even while he was failing. Like,
what a commitment.
Yeah.
It's well, I like it. It's fun.
It does bite sizes too. So it's less than 20. It's never up to 20. I don't think you've ever passed 20, but it's around that 14, 15 minute mark. And what I love about it is that, first of all, showing up and making that commitment, even with family visiting and things happening. But I really wanted the flexibility of time, because I'm used to doing a radio show, which is exactly the hour, and it's that hour, and it's, so I wanted some a freedom from that model, which is great. I needed it for when I did it. And I think that's what's fun. So anybody watching too, is we talk about the flow state, but because everybody has a different flow state, and your flow state changes. And as you get really good at something, like I knew after 4 years of showing up every single Monday, that I was good. I was committed. I was going to be there. But then I wanted to play around how long, the length, and when I did it, and who I had it with, and seeing Tomas. Like I still, like right now, I think of every day. Daily's not my flow, but daily is so Tomas's flow. And people watching, like you guys right now, when you really want to do something, maybe you've not been doing it because you haven't found your flow state. You haven't found which model is going to work for you, and you can create it. You get to create the model. So that's the one thing. Well, it's one of my things I'd like to share.
Yeah, and I want to just echo that. You really can. And with Podcast Prosperity, where we help people develop their own show, it's really, we're creating our own model. each of us is a show host, and we're doing things that work for us, and we can always change it up. That's part of the beauty of all of these platforms, is you can adjust, you can expand, and we both expanded, and we're happily no longer involved in last year's program of action, which is real good.
Yeah. And I mean, just being able to pick your, what am I trying to say here? Go down your road, choose your path at your speed is such a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, it is.
You actually start wondering. I was like, wow, because we met some incredible people throughout the project last year, and I wake up and I literally think, did I work hard enough? Because I'm really loving my life even more than I usually do. And I think, well, and it actually took a little bit of a time to say, no, I've really done all this. And I talked to that person, missed this, but got my emails returned. I did my invoices are sent out, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I just feel so light. And I'm not promising, roses for everybody, because there are going to be some things that still come up for me that are a challenge. But it's the way we approach them, and a way we appreciate them, and a way we can see them for just what they are, is what they are.
Absolutely. And do you find, I know for me, now that I'm doing, I'm living my authentic self and doing what I do, that I have more things on my plate, yet I have more spare time.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We're entrepreneurs, all of us, right? And maybe you're out there watching, you're an entrepreneur too. I think we're all doing this so we don't have to drive 2 hours every day to go sit in a windowless office and be told when we can take a water break, right? None of that. Please, thank you, and no, again and again and again. And we can work in smaller chunks of time, and I find the same thing, Cynthia. We're accomplishing so much more.
Mm-hmm.
It's flow state.
Yeah.
It is. And at times I feel I have to sit back and say, but I'm not working. None of this feels like work. We are programmed to think work means you put in 8 to 12 hours a day and you come home exhausted and you want to put your feet up and grumpy because things didn't go your way. Well, that's not what my day entails.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah. And there's a really important note, a key note that comes with that is, it's you like, I love the way we're talking about how we feel, and this is beautiful. And then there's this other little way that we can feel when someone else tells us how they see our lives. And I remember the first time somebody said, well, I don't have the luxury of having the life that you, and I went, luxury? Like I actually took a little offense, like, oh my gosh, maybe I should make it look like I'm working harder so that I don't make other people feel bad. But
I remember that feeling that way. Yes.
Right. And you think, oh gosh, they're going to think am I going to miss out on some benefit because they give me sympathy that I've worked oh so hard. So there is a lot of something we have to drop, persona. Like, we have to drop certain personalities that we don't even own anymore. They're not ours. Gah, get away. Right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, but get rid of that. Get rid of this cultural badge of honor of working so hard and life has to suck and all of these messages that people receive. I mean, what's up with that?
Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with working at my pace and creating what I create. And if it resonates with you, it does. And if it doesn't, that's okay too.
Yeah, totally.
And, with your podcast, what I appreciate, one of the things I appreciate about that, you guys come together and teach people, and not just teach them, but guide them, and are there to help them create their own little piece of paradise, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, guide is the right word, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The guiding is actually the how we are able to guide, because I this is fun. We're actually able to help guide people because we're playing with them. We're literally there. We're not many steps ahead of anybody. In some cases, we're behind on others. But we come together and we do hold out our hand to say, okay, let's play with this. Let's see what is it you want, and we offer that ear to listen to their heart, and we can say, okay, this may be where we see a roadblock or something that's preventing you. And then that's really where, I guess it's like we are life coaching people through on how do they want to live their life? How do they want to get their message out there?
Well, and I feel we're all doing that for one another. And someone that doesn't resonate with the way I would guide them would resonate the way, with the way you do, or would resonate with the way someone else does. And the beautiful thing about the internet and being able to connect like this is we can always refer someone to someone else if we can't give them what they need at that moment. So I appreciate that as well, like having all of these outlets and coming together.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. We're really very fortunate to have all of these outlets at our disposal, and we're able to do what we're doing the way we want to do it without having to get in the car and drive those 2 hours to go sit in a windowless office and have to put in our 1 week off a year.
Or being told you can't. This way, we can.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
There's no
I don't know about you all watching. I don't know about the two of you, but I was a terrible employee. Just wrong. Bad.
Well, I'm more of a leader than a follower, so I really didn't get along with people that thought they could tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I could bite my tongue for a certain amount of time, and then I would just let them have it, and then show myself out.
Some other firing me, right? I'm gone.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about being able to do it the way I need to do it and want to do it because it wouldn't be a video if I didn't talk about cats. So that because they are a huge part of my life, and I have many times they involve themselves in all of my video shows or audio shows. And I get to actually acknowledge it and say, yep, that's what the cats are doing right now, or I got to go let them in do something, or they knock over the aloe vera plant like they did on the live yesterday or the other day. But it also gives, I love that you said about gives people permission. It gives other people permission if they maybe thought, well, I really like this, but I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about it because it's not appropriate or it's not professional. You know what? I have actually gone up in the middle of a show to let a cat in because you're screaming at me. So.
Yep. Or to lean down and pet my cat, who is Doodle, who normally visits on my lives as well, or when he knows that I can't give him all the attention he requires or deserves. So he will like paw at my feet, and I have to say, oh, Doodle's here, and reach down and give him a little bit of love and come back.
Yeah. Well, and people don't mind. And if you've got a guest, you can just give the guest the floor. Yeah, pet the cat.
I have given Doodle the floor where he shows up and his face is on screen and he's like just moving around, and it's like, okay, your 5 minutes of fame is over. Down you go.
Yeah, it's really wonderful live broadcasting because you never know what's going to happen. So talk about being in a flow state. I mean, it's about recovering your equilibrium when the unexpected happens, when the cat knocks over the mic, when the neighbor cranks his music, right? When a train whistle goes past, a train just went past a block away from me one time when I was live on a live radio show. And well, there's not much you can do about that.
Did it scare you?
No, it was really funny. I mean, it was just clearly audible. Just beautiful. Yeah.
I can remember on one of my lives, there was a magpie, a bird in my window pecking, trying to get my attention. And I was trying to ignore it and continue. And I finally had to say, there's a bird in my window that really needs my attention right now. Like, I just have to see what it needs. So I gave it my attention. We made eye contact and off it went. But it was going crazy in my window until I gave it some attention.
That's beautiful.
I know.
Did you look up what magpie bird it means?
You know what? This one magpie has been following me for a few years. He brings me gifts all the time. So I always research whatever the gift was. One of the last gifts he brought me were carrots. And I was like, there was stuff going on in my life that I was trying to avoid and not pay attention to. And it was like, okay, the magpie's telling me you need to see what is going on. Like, you need to pay attention to what is going on. Mm-hmm. So he's my friend. I'm not sure where he came from, what his message is, but we communicate regularly. He's been around for a few years.
That's really cool. Here in the
Yeah.
Southwest of the United States, where I am, magpies are seen as messengers. They're seen as spiritual and divine messengers. That's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And I know it's him. There's many of them around here, but there's that energetic connection when it's him. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Tomas, you as your dragonfly, or who's your messenger? You know.
Well, I've got a couple of spirit animals. One's jaguar, and the other is the hummingbird. Those are mine, and really, I get a lot of messages from just space and the desert down here in Arizona.
That's a whole other show.
A whole other show. Well, and we could do this because I'm happy to talk about this for hours and hours.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Right
days and days.
Cool. Yeah, Lisa's happy to talk about it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how long the show's supposed to be. So
it's as long as we want, right? 5 hours, Cynthia? 6?
Yeah, 6, 7 tomorrow.
We'll definitely have a lot of cats and dogs in the video then.
Yes, we'll have magpies, we'll have the desert, we'll have spirit animals, and we'll have some practical ways of how you can get a hold of us in the comments. All of that, so it's going to be a total show.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
I like the way this is going.
Yeah, it's fun.
So something I always ask during this segment, as you guys may remember from our last one, have you ever remembered something you didn't know you forgot?
Oh, that's right. Okay, say it again.
Yeah.
Say it again. Hold on.
Have you ever remembered something you didn't know you forgot?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's a good one. It's like a
I know.
Lisa, I don't remember what you said in October. Do you remember what you said?
I
I
don't.
don't think she said anything. I think she said, I can't think of anything.
Can I skirt it? Okay, Tomas, you go first.
Oh, all right. Well, I will go on the condition that you say something.
You go.
Okay. All right. So actually,
That's my bomb.
Yeah. This is my condition. Yeah. So I've had this experience a lot. Yeah, I remember this question. I also don't remember what I said back in October. But yeah, I mean, it was long ago. But I've had this experience a lot. Now, this sounds like our spiritual journey, our collective and individual spiritual journey is we're remembering things. We're remembering who we are. We're remembering our own power. We're remembering that we are love, that we have access to all of these things that we've, unwittingly or purposefully chosen to shelf or to run away from, to play small, to hide. It's a constant unveiling. So yeah, I would say by and large, yes, I've had this experience all the time.
And that's perfect. That's what it's all about. It's about remembering what we were conditioned to forget.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Ooh. What's funny is that when you said that, I literally, because I think a lot of awakening has been happening for all of us, and especially in the last week. All right, and then I just heard about the moon, so I thought, okay, well maybe, and then, but I do remembered that I remembered that I forgot about certain situations with growing up, like being a real small child, and something going, wow, I remembered that when I was little, I thought about it in one way. And then as I got older, I created a story around it. And then I was remembering it that way and then building on that story now that I'm making up. And I actually do remember last week that I remembered it the way I remembered it when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And it rocked my world a little there. And I thought, whoa, wait a second. I wish I could remember it now but I do remember that moment thinking when I was a child, that was different.
Yeah.
Because it made me question, well, how did it change so much? Like, why did I add details and then add that detail to that detail to remember? That's it. Like, where did it come from? Well, and is it just our memory? I don't know.
I don't know. I think it comes from coping mechanisms and conditioning
protection.
And being told, well, that's not the way it happened, and being told, don't do that, or that makes no sense, or we don't talk about stuff like that. So we try to, in our heads, especially as children, we try to make sense of it. Yeah. So maybe we tweak this little bit here and tweak a little bit there so that we can comprehend and we can understand. And then I feel, like you said, as you know, this enlightenment comes in, as we wake up, as we release and shed all of that conditioning and those coping mechanisms, we start to remember things for what they truly were. And then I'm speaking from personal experience, then we question whether, hey, what happened? Did I make that up? Did it actually happen? Is this true? Is this the reality of it? But then when you sit with it and just sit in that silence and allow the universe to come through, we understand why we did what we did, and maybe even why the story had to change over time.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so multi-layered because we've encased ourselves in layer after layer of this conditioning. And I just, Cynthia, just this past week, my dad, who's 83 years old, came to visit. He lives a couple of states over in Texas, and he and his wife came to visit. I hadn't seen them since before the COVID pandemic. And I just got a real reminder of what it's like to be a kid in a medical household. He is a medical doctor. My mom was a nurse and very into science. And I was the unusual child that had all kinds of spiritual experiences. And after a certain point, I couldn't really tell anyone about them because it was just too far out there. People don't have that. It's not possible. Grey's Anatomy.
You're crazy.
The textbook, says you're nuts. That can't happen. You're completely delusional. You're making it up. You're having a nice pipe dream. Have a nice life.
Yeah. So as children, we have to somehow, because we know it's true, we know this is our reality, we somehow have to make it understandable for us when everyone else around us is saying, no, don't say that to people. You'll be on medication. That's not true. Right. So, yeah.
This is so interesting. So from last summer, what we were doing, both of us were introduced to GP Walsh, who teaches, is a master spiritual teacher, self-inquiry. I always say inquiry, self-inquiry and non-duality. And it's rocked my world because it's, Cynthia, I have remembered more of what I've forgotten in the last 6-8 months because of this, because of that self-inquiry journey. And I'm so grateful that Tomas and I are not only business friends, but friends. Clearly you can see this, because a lot of, I don't want to say processing, because remembering, it is a process, but it's not like a technical process. It's like a magic.
And unraveling.
Yes. Yeah, like a
hearing of the veil.
Yes. And that encasing. And so Tomas and I've been able to go and say, oh my gosh, like this and this and all my aha, like beyond aha moments. We need a new universal, like a university kind of word for aha.
We do.
We do.
I have a few, but you can't really say them. There's something to be said behind closed doors, but
Okay.
All right. We like these kind of conversations.
But
I mean, we've almost developed our own language and our own terms and things as this has happened to both of us. Really. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I look forward. I believe I have JP Walsh as a future guest, and I look forward to sitting and chatting with him.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's more like, see, Tomas is familiar with it, so he's got a jump start. I'm just like a little kid in a candy store, like, what? Oh my gosh. It's so, like, I had to sit down.
You know what? That will never change, because with each thing you remember, whether it's universal, whether it's from a childhood, whether it's from a past life, you still get that excitement in that same, oh my goodness, I remember, ooh. That never goes away. That childhood giddiness, that little kid in a candy store, that feeling stays there forever. So.
Oh,
Yeah, it does. And then
Yeah.
you just end up experiencing life right now, thinking, oh,
Yeah.
this is what it could be like. It's
It's
wholly
euphoric.
it is euphoric. Yeah, very
Yeah.
much.
And yes, Lori, you have 4 different birds that always try to get your attention: a blue jay, sparrows, a sterling, and a magpie. And your owls. Yes, your beautiful, wonderful owls.
Cool.
Birds are definitely messengers.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, I mean, I get messages and everything. So.
Well, it's interesting because you never know what form a messenger is going to take.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you don't know.
But yet, even if it's an inanimate object, you still get the message. The desired message comes through. Whether you choose to receive it is entirely up to you. But the message is there.
Yeah. It's always there.
Yeah.
I love that. That's fun.
It is.
It is
So
fun.
much fun. There's so many different topics that we've touched that can branch out into huge conversations.
Like Arizona. The desert. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And that's actually interesting you just said that, because that is one of the things that Tomas and I love to do. We have something called our conscious playground, which is honestly just something that him and I used to visit in our, I'm in Canada and you're in the US. We're, just on the phone and whatever. And we'd meet in our conscious playground to play with something. And it's because there are so many topics that we all have so much interest in, and we love to help people. We invite them to the conscious playground, and we invite them to so that we can help them go, there's so many fun things. Which one right now are you so vibrationally aligned with that yet you want to just to focus on it, even though we're not closing our eyes to everything else, but we are just having a little bit of focused attention on a certain vibration because it's really loud or strong or power. It's moving us. And so that is the one thing I love doing with Tomas. We seem to be really good partners at helping other people do that.
Yeah. And a lot of times people just need that guidance or that help just to get them in the flow of things. Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just something as simple as a gentle suggestion or a nudge or a different point of view. Because often what we both find is that somebody's just right there. They're close and they've come to us for a reason because they're that close. And all they need is just that slight little shift in perspective, and then boom, out it comes. And that's fun.
9 times out of 10, that's all it is a shift in perspective or the wording of something. Just, when people say belief reprogramming, which it ultimately boils down to, that's intimidating when you throw the words belief reprogramming out there. But when, it's just a little tweak or a little rewording or that little nudge, that guidance in the right direction, it's so much easier that way. And yes, absolutely, Lori, messages in the wind or in the trees for sure.
You made me think of another thing about childhood again, is that when you're little, what is the thing we always say? Give me a hint. Just give me a hint. It's like, oh, get it. Just
Yeah, Elisa, I say that to you, and then you don't give me a hint. You just like to keep me in suspense.
Terrible hints.
Me, and I say that all the time too, and so do my kids and people around me. And clearly, my kids know me well. They've, known me their entire lives. So whenever they say, give me a hint, I'll say, okay, it starts with an S. And they're like, Mom, we know that's a surprise. Give me a different hint. And I'm like, okay, it's a P. And they're like, okay, it's a present. Give me something else. Because that's what I used to do. I would just, say it's an S or it's a P. Or, yeah. So
you're a good mom.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, and Cynthia, it's really interesting. I mean, you mentioned how we approach something is so important. You said belief reprogramming. Well, that sounds kind of like, oh my God,
difficult.
A little freaky. And I mean, Lisa and I, with our conscious playground, it's all about fun. And this is something. Actually, we're starting a podcast on this too. We're actually going to record our first episode on Friday together. Then we're going to have some guests, and as this takes form, this is the way that this idea is going to take form as in a show with fun. And this is what we bring to the table, because if you can approach something as fun and creative and approach it that way, it sure is a lot better than something heavy like reprogramming or.
That's not inviting. Come on in, let's reprogram your thoughts.
Yeah.
Makes me think of computer programming, and that makes me really nauseous.
That sounds fun. We're just gonna erase all the data in there and reprogram it. Not so much.
Yeah. You know, when you are invited to something that you know that you cannot fail at, that you not only you can't fail, you couldn't be perfect, so you don't have to try, and there's no judgment, and it's literally like no expectation. It feels so freeing and beautiful and non-intimidating, all those beautiful things. But and I'm so outing my sister again. I always feel bad when I do this, but she really had some issues with losing at games when we were little, so she didn't want to play. So my father created all these games and found a board game that was called the Ungame. It's not even a game because you couldn't lose. There was no winner, no loser. And so she was able to play without that stress, anxiety that would build up, or get angry when she would lose. No fear. So it's no fear. And how beautiful is that we can step into that imagination, creativity, and that's where you're going to hear the messages. That's when you're going to be able to know that little, Sterling is telling you something. What's it telling me? You can't go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in that flow state when you're allowing it's a deeper kind of listening than we experience in the world when we're trying to manipulate our Facebook page and we have to check our email and somebody wants our attention. It could be the kids, it could be the cat, the dog, the doorbell rings, something goes on to distract us, but in the flow, we're just allowing everything, and that's when the messages just come one after another.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful moment. I like it to come when I have those moments to spare to actually be with it. But in my experience, a lot of times the universe comes knocking when I don't have that time to share.
Yes.
So, and I'm always thinking, I'll remember this and write it down later, but I'm super busy right now. And then later when I go to write it down, I've forgotten.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it can be a challenge because we can't always just drop everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a funny world. I was imagining a movie being filmed with a world that did that, and how everybody, no, I gotta write down in the middle of everything. You're in the line up at the bank, or you're on pulling over. I gotta write this down. The whole world just written it down.
Well, a lot of times it's while I'm driving. So, and I catch myself having these conversations out loud saying, not now, later, come back later. I can't do this right now. I'm driving.
Oh, I gotta tell something. This is fun. So my lake froze over. I was going for frozen lake walks, and two things. I really wanted just to be out in nature and go for the walk. I didn't want to bring the cell phone and everything. However, I did bring the cell phone because just in case there was ever an emergency and there was part of the lake that wasn't frozen. But it was so cold. I was like -40 Celsius, like with the wind chill.
I'm familiar with that weather.
Yeah. My phone would get so cold it wouldn't work, right? Yep. And so I thought, I'm not going to bring it. So what would happen is I'm in the best place to receive. Are you kidding me? So I started having to make up all these fun analogy stories. Okay, that starts with this letter and this letter. So that is like a memory game.
Yes.
Memory. How many items are on the tray? How do I remember them? Tell a story. And so I would have to create all these acronyms and stories while I was out walking, just so I could get home and remember them.
That is wonderful. I thought that I was one of the only people that did that, or rhyming, or like a poem, and starts with S and it's this and it's that and sounds like, and especially when it's something super important and then you get home and you write it out because you remember all of these acronyms and all of these sounds like and rhymes with, and
we'll never get Alzheimer's. It's actually preventative. If you learn a brand new activity that you've never done once every 4 years, the study is out that actually prevents Alzheimer's.
Oh, wonderful. I'm safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We're also,
my brain seems to be getting younger and younger and more active every day. And I thank Age of Aquarius for that, and the unveiling and the downloads and the enlightenment. So it's kind of like Benjamin Button in the reverse stages, just in a good way.
yeah. I mean, it really is. I mean, Cynthia, I remember we talked about the downloads in October a lot. That was really, really interesting. I mean, that's still going on. It's still going on for a lot of people, and it just I feel more energized every day. So
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, I think we're all getting younger now. I'm getting a few more gray hairs. I have a few more gray hairs than I did in October, but I feel younger, so that's cool.
That's what it's all about, right? It's, how old do you feel?
Yes.
Sometimes I'm 8.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me. I'm in my 40s and I was called Rainbow Bright today.
But age is just a number. If that's what I love it when I see people that are living their true authenticity. If you want a mohawk at 99, have at her.
Yeah.
Good for you. Because when you were 9, you probably weren't allowed.
Yes. And if you're able to grow a mohawk at 99, then do it.
Even if it's a wig. Do what makes you happy, right? I mean, if you're not hurting anyone else, what does it matter?
Right.
So that should be our motto every day. Do what makes you happy. As long as you are respecting those around you and not hurting anyone, do what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Do what you're in line with.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to send over some headphones to Tomas's neighbors then, because they clearly love listening to a lot of music. But then I always say, if you're going to listen to it loud. Headphones.
Yeah, listen to it with headphones. Yes, they're fond of loud music. Now, this was a great song actually that he was playing, but it was about 5 minutes before we were supposed to go live, and the room where I usually go live, it faces the driveway and a courtyard, and the sound waves just bounce off the concrete. Super loud. It's got great acoustics, so we'll put it that way.
We could have had music. It could have been a dance party.
It could have been. You might not have been able to hear me, however. Might have been a thing. Possibly.
We'll let the birds do the music.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of music, so all music. I love music.
You play, do you not? Did I see pictures of you playing a guitar?
Not me.
Are you sure? No?
Oh, I'm sure. I play sometimes, but there's no pictures and probably a lot of bleeding ears.
Oh.
Actually, I can play the piano a little bit.
Imagine you being a musician. That's so funny. Okay.
I've always wanted to be a musician, so that's awesome that you see that, because I wanted to play the drums, and I do a little bit, but nothing that you would have ever seen or seen pictures of or anything like that.
I just got goosebumps, like super goosebumps when you said that. Like, I think I see you as a musician. So yes, I'm seeing what you're.
Maybe my next download will be how to read music.
Or by feel.
Well, that's how I play the piano and the drums anyway. So
you would like to read. Okay. Well, yeah. I'm zapping you. Oh, Tomas is really good at zapping stuff. So here, let's zap. Let's zap you.
You can now read music.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That is fun. Now I'm just picturing myself in like a grunge band playing drums.
Yes. I can do it. I can see this.
I love it.
Perfect.
And that just so that's so funny. So I've always wanted a xylophone, like a really large wooden xylophone. And so I found this one. It's just one stick with one tube. I don't know what he is. He's just like a little chime. It's a piece of a chime. And so I got my part of my xylophone. Well, now I have a metal lamp. Oh, I don't even know if we can see this. No. And so I take that one little little mallet, and I just hit every part of the lamp to create a different sound. And that's like my own little band, my own grunge band. So you can do this. You can just drum anywhere, and yes, I can see it.
I do that with my gong.
Yes, there you go. Yes.
Bang it in different spots to make music, and then I'll just kind of like meditate listening to it and then bang it again. So that's my music. That's how I play music these days.
Love it. I love it.
Well, and then if there's nothing else to to touch or to play, there's always the grunge band in one's head.
Yes.
Easily conjured up. Boom.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And, I'm verbal with my mouth. I'll make, not beatboxing, because again, I'm not musically inclined, so I can't do that, but I do my own thing.
Right on.
So I appreciate that you see the musician in me.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
But on that note, I think...
Sorry, that was funny.
Yeah. On that musical note, I promise I won't sing us off screen. Oh, no. No.
No?
No. But by
Next
all
time.
means, if either of you want to do like a little beat or drumming or singing or humming.
I think Lisa is volunteering for this.
Yeah. I shall sing everyone's praises here, but that's about the only thing. Wonk, wonk. But
Well, thank you both for taking time out of your day to join me yet again. I appreciate that. Very grateful.
Well, this has been fun. Thank you for having us.
It always is.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for joining today. I know you could be anywhere. You chose to be here. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. And Lisa and Tomas, welcome back anytime. Anytime you guys want to stop in, let me know. I would love to have you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
So
So take care. Much love. And I will see everyone next time.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.